Welcome to the 8th annual EdGames Expo, a week-long showcase of game-changing education technology innovations that were developed with the support of programs at the U.S. Department of Education and across federal government. Hello, I'm Albert Palacios from the Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education at the U.S. Department of Education. I lead a series of open innovation challenges called Ed Prizes. In 2016, we conducted our very first Ed Prize challenge, the Reach Higher Career App Challenge, in coordination with the Office of the First Lady, Michelle Obama. The winner of the Reach Higher Career App Challenge was Hats and Ladders. As part of this year's expo, the country's leading education technology developers have produced a 20-minute masterclass for educator videos, which present models or examples for how to implement a technology-based intervention in a classroom or remote setting. It goes without saying that one of the main purposes for schooling is to prepare our students for the careers of the future. Yet we know it can be hard for the students to connect their interests to their strengths and navigate educational pathways in pursuit of their professional aspirations. I'm excited to lead this masterclass that features Hats and Ladders, a mobile platform developed with the support of the Reach Higher Career App Challenge, as well as the Department of Education's Small Business Innovation Research Program. Hats and Ladders is designed to motivate students to explore, experiment with, and prepare for a wide range of career pathways. Instead of trying to match individuals to a single career cluster or pathway, Hats and Ladders aims to empower youth as career thinkers, capable of making their own connections between who they are, who they want to be, and how to get there. After the masterclass, stay tuned and join me for an engaging question and answer session between the developers of Hats and Ladders and a group of educators. Now off to Hats and Ladders in New York City for their masterclass.
Finding a career is one of the most important challenges young people will face. Figuring out what they want to be, who they are, and the skills they need to get where they want to go can be a daunting and overwhelming task. Understandably, many youth struggle to figure out what's next after high school. As a result, many of them disengage and pursue things they won't be happy with in the long run.
Since 2016, Hats and Ladders has been working with youth ages 14 to 24 and the educators, counselors, mentors, and advisors in their lives. It's challenging for youth to develop career readiness, especially if they're still figuring out what they need to be ready for. That's where the Hats and Ladders app comes in. Our app platform, lessons, and Power Skills Game Lab make up a flexible solution for youth to develop career readiness, build career decision-making self-efficacy to confidently know what to do next, build skills they need to succeed in careers they might want to pursue, and build cross-cutting skills that are necessary for all careers. We call those cross-cutting skills power skills. Hats and Ladders is designed to be used independently by youth or by educators in the classroom, both synchronously and asynchronously. This masterclass provides a taste of how educators are using Hats and Ladders to support youth in professional skill building as they prepare to enter an uncertain world. This recording samples and showcases 3 different educators teaching a digital lesson to youth on job security and transferable skill building using the Hats and Ladders app to support their pedagogy. The instructional devices that supported this lesson were the Hats and Ladders app and curriculum, GBH Career Hacks video, and Google Jamboard. The learning goals for youth were to demonstrate understanding of the connection between job security and transferable skills, understand how to use Hats and Ladders to increase employability and develop transferable skills, practice self-evaluation, reflect on transferable skills, and to identify their strong transferable skills and the ones that they would like to improve.
To find a job they love and a career that fits, youth need to know how to use their skills and strengths. So we give them a roadmap. To grow towards the things that resonate with us, we should start with ourselves. What skills do we have? And which of those skills are we good at? Which skills are transferable across a number of careers? Where are the opportunities for growth? And how can Hats and Ladders help?
So we're going to jump in. We're going to talk a little bit about marketability, what it means to make yourself marketable in a time where a lot of people are unemployed, when COVID and quarantine has, y'all see, right? It's impacted us. It's impacted our families. I don't know if y'all were raised in a way that I was raised, like this mentality of we're going to have to at some point, right, have a job, right? And it's not even about a job, like, right, it's really bringing in income. Let's talk about it like that, right? Because as people of color, as people who, grow up in communities like ours, let's, real talk, like everybody, for how long, how young are we before people are like, okay, time to go get a job? Or how long or how young are we when people start pushing us, right, to go to college, get a career because you need to do X, Y, Z?
So, we're going to use Jamboard to kind of unpack this idea of job security a little bit more, because when you're new in your career, early in your career, that kind of seems like a random thought or idea. But what are your thoughts on what job security is?
Yeah, I would say job security means to me is like something like a job that's always in high demand. Basically, like something that you can do online, like or in person, like in any situation, just in case something does fall through.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good example too. What do you think are some examples of jobs that will always be in demand?
Well, from what I can understand from job security, like when you work for like the government, mental jobs like police officer, medical.
Hmm. Yeah, those are great examples.
Another example that probably wouldn't be popular but is definitely secure is like a garbage man or something like that, since they get a good amount of pay as well as there's always people around to collect the garbage. They're always getting funding, everything.
What we're going to do today is we're going to watch this quick video. So let me go ahead and share my screen.
Did your career turn out exactly as you expected it to?
No, I did my undergrad in international relations.
I was going to be a veterinarian.
I'm going to go to journalism school. I'm going to be a political reporter.
During times like these, it can be really helpful to be flexible and think outside the box. One way to pivot is to think about transferable skills. Those are things you already know how to do that you can apply to a new job or situation.
So, how are you pivoting?
When COVID-19 hit, I'll be honest with you, I really was just feeling a little hopeless. But I was able to use my skills to pivot. My sister's a registered nurse at a local hospital. She asked me to make some masks. So I was like, this is right up my alley. Everyone just went, oh my God, I need one. Created a website, created a new Instagram page, and started selling them.
Those are so beautiful. Another thing you can do is think of new skills you'd like to learn.
What 3 things could you add to your toolkit in order to make yourself an obvious choice?
Now there's so many online classes, certifications.
Before the pandemic, I was exclusively a designer. Now I am a video editor. I am a social media strategist. I am a marketer. I am all of the above.
So what did y'all think?
Because a lot of people go in thinking that what they want to do before they enter college is what they're going to do. Like some people go in wanting to be an actor maybe, but then they end up being something cool like a journalist or some other way of getting their voice out there. It shows that the skills that you have before may not implement themselves into the career you want, but you can end up getting something just as good that will help you further your career.
Mm-hmm.
It just reminded me about how the fact that when I came into high school, I wanted to be an actress, but after taking all those classes, I wanted to sign up for psychology major, and those two don't go together. But honestly, they kind of do.
I hear that. And I've actually been doing this now for 10 years, right? And it started after my 3rd year teaching when I'm like, I could really be in a classroom, right, and do the work. But then what I really like more is technology. So how do I tie being in a classroom, subtract the regents and the tests and all the hard stuff that I didn't like, right, because I wasn't good at, and how do I throw technology on top? And boom, Mouse Squad was born, right, in our student groups and our and yo, you're onto something, man. And I hope that y'all all listen to it as far as like, this is what you can do.
But another element that's related to kind of exploring yourself and knowing what you're good at, knowing the skills that you have that are good about, is looking at yourself and being able to tell how good a job you're doing, or how well do you know those skills?
We have skills. Period. Let that rest. Okay? All of us. We got skills. JC, one of the skills I know you have, you's a talker, bro. You and I both share that skill. It's called the gift of gab, bro. You could probably talk like a cactus into like not needing water or something like that. I don't know. That's not the best analogy, but the idea is that instead of trying to find skills that you don't know exist, focus on the skills you have, right? And
So has anybody out here ever heard of self-evaluation?
I have a class about college and career, and the teacher was always like telling us to write down what we think we're good at, and what putting like a 1 to 5 or something like that, 1 to 10, what and what we need to improve, and what we need to work more on, and something like that.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And there are a couple of ways that you can do it. And what you just did is more of a formal way. You used a tool, a Likert scale, 1 to 5. That's a perfect example of self-evaluation.
Can someone in their group just, your understanding of it, you saw the video, but you also know it. Can someone just define transferable skills for the group for us?
It's like skills that I learned from past jobs. If I get like different jobs, I can use it, like use the strategies that I got from that job, the past jobs.
Yeah, it's pretty much there. It's a skill, legit, that you transfer over, right? Like I don't know how else to tell you. Like, for example, before I did gaming, before I did education, I did corporate, meaning I used to sit, believe it or not, behind a desk 9 to 5, sitting there pushing buttons all day, looking at Excel spreadsheets, and it was the worst time of my life. But you know what? You know who's cute at a spreadsheet right now? Blanco. Why? Because I used it for numbers once upon a time, but now I be using this for next level stuff, to manage like a bunch of other things that have nothing to do with what I had. You seen that woman? She knew how to sew. She done started making masks, which is smart. I wish I could do that.
The ability to adapt to where I am, professionalism, as well as leadership skills, because I gained a lot of that being a part of things like Student Council and National Honor Society.
I got it from the Hats and Ladders program. I'm like really organized, and that's transferable because like organization is important everywhere you go.
And also like in school, I'm mainly like a person who likes to work in groups. So that's maybe why I like communication the most out of everything.
And then Neil, do you mind sharing just one of these with us?
Okay, so I put reliability, and they're relying on you, and once you slip up and don't turn in that paper or something like that, then they can't rely on you as much.
Nah, I hear that.
They could also become a business strategist. Like, let's say you were a coach at some point. Just add a little math to what you did with coaching, and boom, you can become a business strategist for a company and show them how to tackle some expenses,
and make some plays, some strategy plays. Facts. I like that.
So by now you've probably figured out that Hats and Ladders provides a platform for individuals to learn new skills or maybe find ways to use the skills they already have. And so when you've been using Hats and Ladders, you've been picking up some of these, what we call transferable skills, right? So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit, we've been talking about skill building in Hats and Ladders.
You can actually like connect with the Hats and Ladders thing, where they give you like organizer or etc. They give you like skills that you're exceeding at. You can actually, when you search up transferable skills, you can actually relate, and you can use that on the Hats and Ladders program. You use those skills to like determine what you're exceeding at, what you're better at.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And I'm going to share my screen on Hats and Ladders, and hopefully this will be just a kind of a preview, and some of you guys can share your screens with me in a second. But I do want to point out something that was just said by FD, and he's talking about the profile in Hats and Ladders. So your profile is organized by your Holland type or your predominant personality types. And for example, here you see with the owl, it's an analyzer. That's the one that has the most of the orange circle filled in. So that would be the highest personality profile type for me. And so if I click on it, I can read more information about being an analyzer. I'm logical, I'm independent and analytic. I like to solve complex and abstract problems. So this is a great place to go and get a kind of a quick preview of some of the more general skills that you're good at. And then maybe what you could do from this skill set is figure out what maybe more hard skills that you could practice to gain more transferable skills. Like organizers are a really good one. Somebody that is an organizer in their Hats and Ladders profile likely would be really good at Microsoft or Google Doc technologies that we chatted about earlier, because those are ripe and perfect for organizing information, correct? The other place is the notion of the ladder and browsing ladders. And so I had pulled up this ladder set on professional relationships earlier. Networking, we chatted about that recently at Eastside House. And social media, that could certainly, like just about any company that you could work for has social media, right? Or are there any skills that you've maybe identified in Hats and Ladders that now you know you need to go deeper in?
The body language and what to do during an interview. Like, you have to sit up straight, have eye contact, as well as ask questions here and there to tell your interviewer that you're understanding what's going on and that you're interested in the position.
Absolutely. And the things that you just pointed out, like the good body language, eye contact, and just some of the other things related to interviewing are certainly great communication skills that could be used in not in an interview, but in other situations at work, just in general in the workplace.
I was going to say, like, one of the most helpful ladders for me, is that okay, was the LinkedIn profile section, like working with that. Because months ago, I created a LinkedIn profile, but I was kind of confused as to how to work it. I didn't know how to connect what I've done to the LinkedIn profile. And then I ended up doing the ladder. It was like the universe was like there for me. And it was so easy to like follow. So I think that was like the most helpful thing. So I was able to put my skills that I already have and the jobs I already have done into there. So it's like on top of transferable skills. So.
Something that I would like to try, and I knew about it while using Hats and Ladders, is about organizations and how they help each other in community, and how they like bring a lot of change into the community, help the little kids and how they the way how they grow up. Yeah, and that was like something that I wanted to learn more about. And currently I'm working in an organization about mental health and community, and I'm learning there a lot of things. I'm working as doing research about programs that help kids, adults, and teenagers.
My last question to tie everything up, and maybe we can go around and everybody could share, is what is one transferable skill that you have in order to increase your job security? And what is one transferable skill that you would like to develop?
But something that I want to like be able to develop more would be public speaking as well. Because if you hadn't noticed by now, I get my words get a little mixed up, and I freeze up quite a bit. And where my profession that I want to go into, I would have to speak a lot with people.
Well, that's the beauty of a skill, is that it can be learned and developed. And so
it was really hard for me to talk to people at school before. Now I'm trying to like change that. I'm trying to speak more than say what I'm thinking. Also, I would like to learn more about leadership, something that is a scary word for me. I never tried to be in a position of a leader before, and I think that I can work on that.
It might be surprising, but I would say I like to brush up on like public speaking. Like, I'm actually very, very shy, but once I speak, I can't stop. So I guess I'd have to maintain myself. I don't know if that's like worth it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And one skill I wanted to learn, I know everybody said it, but public speaking. I took a public speaking class, and it was just like it seemed like didn't help at all. It's like, I guess I have no problem speaking with people, but it's just like when I get in front of a whole bunch of people, I guess I just freeze up and forget everything. So that's something I really need to work on.
And that's something that gets better with practice. That was great. You all just participated in self-evaluation too, which was amazing. But it was really cool to hear about the skills that you have and the skills that you'd like to develop. It's always good to take some time to reflect on that. And, after we go away from this lesson, something that you can continue to think about is, okay, so you have those skills and you'd like to develop those skills. So think about how you might start to do that. What resources do you have available to you? What steps can you take to develop those skills so that you can move and grow in that sort of way?
You guys have really been an inspiration to just what we're doing at Hats and Ladders, and I really appreciate all of you being here. And again, thank you so much. And we'll be chatting to you through email.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, thank you.
Yes, have a good
Bye. Have a nice day.
All right. You too.
Thanks and welcome back. I hope you all enjoyed that video. We're joined with Scott and Kristen from Hats and Ladders, and we want to open it up for Q&A. Any questions that the educators who are on board? Thanks for all the educators who joined our session here, and we're looking forward to your questions and answers. Who wants to start? We'll start with Michelle, and then we'll go on to Sharon.
Sure, great. So really excellent stuff, and I would love to hear more from the Hats and Ladders team about what the youth were actually engaged in on the platform itself prior to that facilitated discussion.
Sure. The youth who were engaged in a class setting had recently gotten to the point at Hats and Ladders where they were deciding what skill they wanted to build next. And so this was a perfect segue, going from understanding that they had been using our platform to build skills, to build career readiness skills, and then understanding kind of maybe where those skills they already have can be situated amongst skills that they might want to build next or grow on the ones that they already have.
Great, thanks for that response, Scott. Sharon, how about your question?
Yes. My question is, as I am an educator at a school and I teach a program that's geared towards careers, I was wondering how can we make it more a priority using Hats and Ladders in our school?
That's a great question. When we designed Hats and Ladders to begin with, we thought that maybe the principal place where it would live would be in a school counselor situation, or advisor, or mentor situation. But we've come to find out that Hats and Ladders can be used in just about any classroom setting. We do have, for example, English language learning students that use Hats and Ladders. We have some language arts classes, some STEM classes. And so maybe one strategy would be to coordinate with other educators in your institution and figure out maybe when they want to talk about careers that are associated or adjacent to the skills that they teach. And then maybe that collaborative effort could create an atmosphere in your school where more of the teachers and educators are using the platform with their kids.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think there are important socio-emotional components that are included in Hats and Ladders. So youth have the opportunity to learn about things such as clear and effective communication. We have new ladders or content on gender and sexuality. And so things like that are really applicable across a variety of settings in schools. And so the goal of Hats and Ladders in the program is to have it be something that can really be adapted to any sort of situation in a school setting based on the needs of the classroom and the students, which is something that we really are proud of with Hats and Ladders and the way that it can be implemented in a variety of contexts.
Thanks for that. I want to go over to Scott for the next question. But I know that when I first kind of learned of Hats and Ladders, I thought that that was a great approach where you could kind of get that mix and cross that exposure to a lot of different career pathways and career options and education options. So I thought that was a great strength of Hats and Ladders. Scott Jackson.
Yeah. Hey, Scott. I'm at a high school that prioritizes career development, and Sharon talked that her school focuses on it as well. And I'm just really excited that Hats and Ladders is kind of just shining a light on the potential of more detailed career development in the schools. My question is, I really liked hearing from the kids in the master class, and it seems that all the kids that I've had use it have all had positive things to say. Here in New York City, I know it's being used for the summer youth employment, the SIA program. Do you have any feedback from the sites and what the workplaces are saying about Hats and Ladders and their impression of it, and kind of feedback they've given you that's been helpful to develop and make it more robust?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a fantastic question. In fact, many of the changes that we are initiating for 2021 are directly related to feedback we received from programs like SYEP in New York City. But one of the things that we learned early on was that educators did not like that Hats and Ladders was gated and that you had to complete one section before moving on to the next section. So in the new release that's coming in mid-April, we have now created a more open architecture where young people can jump around in the platform, as well as educators can better plan their structure of kind of scope and sequence based on what they are covering at any specific time of the year.
Thanks for that, because I think that better mirrors the actual approach to careers and career pathways, where it could be kind of as opportunities present themselves, you go after them, and I think it's great to have that breadth of available information for the students. Let's turn to Rudy now.
Thank you so much, Albert. I'm really interested. Sharon, you had asked earlier, like, how do schools like prioritize this, right? So my relationship with Hats and Ladders is unique because I used to run it in school, like when I first started doing the work. But then where I am at now, like, we work with a nonprofit that doesn't just work with one school, but we love the tool, right? Like, our kids love it, we use it, and I'm curious to know, as we try to reach out and broaden our reach and how many young people are using this, what specific challenges, I'm curious to know, like, what challenges have y'all come across in actually either convincing the schools to prioritize the career development, right? Or what types of challenges and pushbacks are you getting, whether it's from I'm curious to know, like, how are administrators pushing back? How are teachers pushing back? And then, how are our kids pushing back? Like, I'm just curious to know about those particular areas, if you can share some info on that.
Sure, that's a great question. Time is a big issue, and Sharon obviously has already pointed to that element. Another thing that, obviously folks struggle with, and this is new, and even more so in the age of COVID, is prioritizing pricing for Hats and Ladders. Fortunately, Hats and Ladders for just end users is absolutely free. We do have pricing that we charge for the curriculum and more the training aspects. But that is one element that we hope kind of like helps get beyond that barrier of entry into a school, is that at the very base, your youth can use this absolutely free of charge. Kristen, did you have any additional items for that one?
Not on that one. I think, like most educators, time is a huge barrier to any program that you're implementing. And so finding ways to prioritize and integrate a program such as Hats and Ladders is really valuable to overcoming that barrier. So how can you help this program be useful for students, not only in career development, but also maybe in other areas such as skill building or preparing and thinking about what they want to do after graduation? Integrating it into places where those conversations are happening with youth would be valuable in overcoming that challenge, I think.
I think in piggybacking on kind of Rudy's kind of point about kind of those barriers, but like how easy is it for a new teacher to kind of take this on? Just maybe they're either a teacher new to the position, new to teaching, or new to your product. How do they really get into it? What's the best way for a novice to kind of get into your program or product?
Yeah, that's actually a fantastic question because we purposely have developed all of our curriculum materials to be accessible for any type of educator, whether it's a formally trained individual that's in a school or someone that works after school or beyond school, or is even maybe a upper level college student who's been hired for a summer program. So the way that our curriculum and lessons works is that we have designed them so folks who are facilitating with Hats and Ladders can mix and remix and pull out and extract exactly what they want to construct the lesson that's going to really engage and motivate the youth that they're working with.
Thanks for that, because I know I mean, my office is managed career and technical education, and I know that having that understanding and being able to access that and having an easy platform or an easy avenue to get that information, I think is critical. I want to turn to Jermaine now, who's had his hand up for the next question.
Thank you. So my question, in my school, we prioritize cooperative employment during their senior year. So I really try to hone in on the skills that students need in their 11th grade year. In the midst of the pandemic, I really wasn't able to work with those 11th grade students. So just wondering what feedback you've gotten from teachers on how easy it was if they were using this in the classroom to go to a virtual environment with their students.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'd like to think that most of the educators that we work with were able to easily transition into using Hats and Ladders and coordinating lessons in a virtual environment. What we did, at least staff-wise in our implementation group in Hats and Ladders, is that we tried to model best practices for virtual implementation as much as we could. So we purposefully met with our educators and then leadership for maybe some of the community-based organizations. And we talked to them about ways we thought that they could best implement it in those settings. And I think that was pretty effective for us.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, I think one of the important and valuable things about Hats and Ladders is that it already is a web-based platform, and so all of our content, all of the things that the students go through are web-based, and it's scaffolded by classroom instruction. And so once things shifted online, then the students were still able to be self-directed in using the platform, but the way that the educator kind of supported their learning and instruction just shifted in the online environment. But it's nice that it's personalizable to the student. And some of the feedback that we have received is that students really appreciate that they're able to personalize their experiences and their interests because of the breadth of experiences that Hats and Ladders offer, as well the different kind of content that they're able to have access to.
And Jermaine, you raise a good point. Because of those work-based learning opportunities in school, I think that also kind of lends some credibility to the content, because the students can then kind of identify the pieces of the career pathways that appear on Hats and Ladders and kind of see how much of that is real. What do I expect as a cooperative, in that cooperative education program, as employment and education program that you mentioned, Jermaine. So I think in that it helps kind of merge the information from out there in the workforce to the classroom. So I think there are different opportunities for kind of that conversation and that learning to take place. I want to turn to Michelle, back to Michelle, who has another question.
Sure. Thank you so much, Albert. To maybe expand the thinking a little bit on the personalization of the content through the platform, and to the point that was just being spoken about, really pairing it with tangible workforce experience and career pathways. I was wondering if you might speak a little bit more on the Hats side of things. I think the Ladders have been just truly wonderful, wonderful content. I know my team really leverages it nicely. The youth are really engaged with it and learn a lot. What I think is almost the unsung hero of the platform sometimes are these hats and these pathways. I know that for my youth, especially highly vulnerable youth here in Staten Island, New York, sometimes there's a perception that we're never going anywhere but the neighborhood. And I don't think that that's isolated to my community. I think that's something that's true of many communities across the city, state, and country. So what does that career exploration component really look like? And how does a platform like Hats and Ladders drive further thinking or further opportunities for young people to really take action on careers?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Michelle. So the HATS component of the program is different jobs or different career tracks that youth have the opportunity to explore. And the way that that works in the app is through Hat Packs is the first step that they get to see. And it's kind of designed like a swiping mechanism where there's like 8 to 10 different careers or hats that the youth can try on. And they get like a first taste or first sample of what those hats are, and they swipe through it left or right, yes or no, this is something I'm interested in. And then the app connects them to ladders or skills that they might need to develop in order to learn more about what those hats do. And so I think that's really beneficial to creating opportunity for youth because they're presented with the chance to think about things in a different way and think about like, oh, I've never thought about becoming a graphic designer before. I've never thought about going into the trades and what that would take and the kind of education and experience that I need. But what we really value and like about our program is that it's not a 5 years down the road, here's what you'll be. It's what can I do now in order to take steps to get there. And so to the HATS component, it's really giving youth the opportunity to start thinking about that and thinking about their career opportunities.
Thanks for that. And we're almost at the end of our time here, but I did want to kind of put a question out to Scott and Kristen, and this is, I guess I have two questions. First one, and they're unrelated. First one is kind of based on what Michelle's question was. To me, that boils down to the transferable skills among career pathways. How do you map that from kind of the back end standpoint, or what's your approach to transferable skills?
Yeah, so our approach to transferable skills is there are many skills that we have, like effective communication, networking, building relationships. And no matter what career or industry you're in, those are all skills that are valuable and important. And so our approach to teaching those transferable skills is helping youth understand that there's not a specific setting in which you use those skills. They're across life that those skills are useful. And so in the way that we frame our content and the way that we make actionable and tangible steps for the youth to practice those skills, I think is really important because sometimes you think like, oh, communication, I need to know how to write a professional email, but effective communication happens when you're talking to a teacher or dealing with a conflict with a student or a friend of yours. And those are all skills that maybe youth are practicing, but they don't realize that. And so we help bridge that gap in understanding and seeing how those skills, they're already using them in their life, but also how they can continue to develop them in a professional way. Scott, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
No, that was well said.
Thanks for that. I mean, I had the pleasure of kind of being introduced to Hats and Ladders through the Reach Higher Career App Challenge back in 2016 when they won the challenge, and it was announced by the First Lady at the time. And I think it's kind of great to see how far you've come since that time when you when you won the challenge. But what kind of led to that? I mean, how did you come up with the idea? How did you what was the impetus for getting this idea created and into app form?
Sure. Well, the two co-founders of Hats and Ladders and myself were all educational game makers. And when we saw the call come from the U.S. Department of Education, what resonated the most with us was that we saw ourselves in this speech that Michelle Obama had given around pathways and how they're not all from step A to step Z, that there's a lot of winding roads and a lot of off trails that you'll go on. And so that resonated with us just because I have a degree in music education and another degree in composing. And I ended up being an educational game maker. It's taking the experiences that you build along the way and understanding how those can maybe fit together into some component that drives who you are and puts you ultimately in the position or the career that makes you happy and makes you want other people to kind of feel the same way. And so that's what did it for us.
Great. Thank you very much, Scott and Kristen, for kind of being able to tell the background, tell a little bit more, go in a little more depth about not just Hats and Ladders, but also the background, the structure, the kind of and maybe some more information that might help other developers create better, different, kind of improve in their own space. One reason why we did this was because of the need for career counselors, the shortage of career counselors at the school level, and we thought that this might be a good way to help supplement the guidance that they are getting at the high school level or at the school level. I know this can reach down to middle school, but I think all of that is just, we've been really pleased to see the progress that Hats and Ladders has made since the challenge. So thank you very much for joining us, and thank you to all the educators who have come to the table and really shared their thoughts and questions with the group.